notification right now. And now I'm going to just start to share some slides with you uh, to get us started slowly, because it's just a couple minutes after the hour. We're going to be focusing on the new moon in Aquarius, which is exact on the 17th. Today is the 14th. So we're going to talk a little about that. We're going to look at our own birth charts and see how this new moon, also it's a solar eclipse. We're going to talk. Again, my apologies if this is if the bandwidth is not sufficient right now. Usually it is, but because we have a storm, I just want to put this in the recording that if I need to, I will do this whole thing over again and email you guys, but I really want to thank you for being here live with me today. So I wanted to just say that this eclipse season is very much a threshold. All eclipses are, these kind of events that they're resets, they're reboots, they lift us up and out of linear space and time. This one in particular, given all the outer planets changing signs, giving all the stuff that's going on, this one's definitely a threshold. And so I kind of want to invite us just to take a couple deep breaths here as we come together in circle, as we get started. And as you breathe in through your nose right now, just take a nice, slow, deep breath in. Let it be as slow and as deep as you want it to be. Hold it for a moment and then release that breath through your mouth. And we'll do that again 2 more times. Just breathing in, just an easy, deeper, gentle breath. Calling your awareness here as we're all coming together to welcome eclipse season, and exhale through the mouth. And then just one more deeper, easy breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And so the idea here is that we're bringing the presence of our consciousness and of our hearts and also of this circle into this eclipse season. And I want to just kind of say out the top that in my personal experience, eclipses aren't scary. I want to offer that. Eclipses can bring about things that seemingly defy linear space and time. They can bring about really amazing things. But everything that happens is, if we really kind of think about it with a bird's eye view, it's an invitation for realignment. And maybe also there's stuff that's really, really, really aligned that just gets out the gates. This is a North Node eclipse, and I'll get to what that means in a second, why this is very much about a beginning. But also we can kind of sense that we're in a time of change. And as I mentioned with the podcast about the new moon, and I'll get to that in a second, we're in a time of change, but that does not mean that we need to rush and force through the process. What the planets seem to be reminding us is for the most powerful thing we can do is to be present. And I put here, meet change with steadiness and trust, to kind of just put a pin on that one. And so today we're going to talk about this Aquarius solar eclipse astrology. We're going to look at some themes for this eclipse season. There are always 2 eclipse seasons in every year. One's typically in spring, the other one's typically in fall. They usually have a lunar and a solar eclipse with them. Every once in a while, there's a 3rd eclipse, but usually it's 2. We're going to look at our personal charts. I'm going to invite you, if you feel so inspired, to pull up your birth chart. I'll give you a tool to do that. We're also going to look at the herb for this lunar cycle. If you're already a part of the Lunar Herbal Alchemy Circle, I grow herbs up here and we mail them out and we integrate them into the lunar cycle. That's not, we're just going to spend I don't know, a fifth of the time on that. So if you don't have any echinacea, don't worry about it. Maybe it'll just be an informative experience. And then we're going to do a meditation. So I want to first talk about this eclipse. This is a solar eclipse. This is a north node eclipse. Solar eclipses are in general about openings because one of the reasons is a solar eclipse always happens at a new moon. So it's like a new moon on steroids, right? But it's an opening, but also if it needs to be, it's a course correction. And at the very same time, eclipses don't discriminate to just say solar is beginning and lunar is ending. Or realization. There can be nuance here. If something needs to be released in order to get us to where we're really wanting to go, we might have a really keen awareness about that. And the idea is that there's this emergence of a new identity. I'm going to stop my share here and just navigate real quickly over to another page that I want to share with you guys. This is a page, it's a page from my Astrology 101 course. And because I'm integrating astrology, I just wanted to have us be able to look at this because it's a pretty, and I'm going to be offering this course again. But if we look at, where's the solar eclipses? Sorry, guys. Here's the eclipses. So we're looking at the meaning of the nodes here. And I wanted to just help us start to understand in general, because we're going to have two gatherings. This one is about a solar eclipse. The second one is about a lunar eclipse. And because a lunar eclipse is associated with a full moon, they're often associated with themes of release, culmination, and completion. That's the full moon energy extra. Solar eclipses, as I mentioned, because they're associated with new moons, these are new beginnings, powerful shifts, and a lot of fresh energy. So we have those two things. We have solar and lunar. And now every eclipse, we have the nodes. We have the north and south nodes. The reason why an eclipse happens is because the sun, moon align with the nodes, which helps the earth get in alignment and everything kind of come together, and that's how the light gets blocked. But the north and south node mean very different things. So at every eclipse, the moon is either near the north node very close or the south node very close. And those mean very different things. You've probably heard me talk in a podcast about, I only speak of the north node when I'm doing an astrology podcast because it's the most relevant. It's where we're headed. It's why our soul is here. And the south node is the karmic lessons that we're meeting. So we have this week, now we're entering into this energy, a north node solar eclipse. So this is a new beginning with an extra dose of our soul's reason for incarnating, because the north node is right next to the sun and the moon. And the north node, so I called it in the podcast, and you'll hear a lot of folks call this a cosmic reset. Stepping into the unknown, kind of moving into, maybe it's a big shift we're making, maybe it's about just the next phase of our life and our life's purpose. So I think I'm going to stop there and not confuse us too much about the other aspects that we could be considering. We'll consider this again when we meet in 2 weeks for the next eclipse, but I just wanted to let you put it on your radar. Solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, both of those can be a north or a south node, depending on where the nodes are. So we're working today with the energy of a north node eclipse. So let me go ahead and get back to, I said all this in the previous page, but this is about openings and course corrections, accelerated endings and beginnings. And it's not just about that. It's about the other thing that's giving this the flavor that it has is what sign the moon is in. It also happens to be the same sign that the sun and the north node are in. That sign is Aquarius. And Aquarius is fixed masculine air ruled by Uranus. We've been feeling into Aquarius since November last year when Pluto permanently moved into Aquarius. And at that time, a lot of people were speaking a lot about, was not just me, but the idea when Pluto left Capricorn, it was leaving and shaking top-down structures. Pluto goes into Aquarius. This is about circular power. It's about circular structures. It's about collective energy. It's about flashes of insight that are Uranian. So I put here in this slide, I kind of distilled this theme into community and collective healing. Also very Uranian and Aquarian, this notion of liberation and future vision. So it's the flip side of a coin. What are we leaving versus where are we headed? And are we mourning the loss of things, or are we liberated from things that no longer serve? This is about the power of our consciousness to choose what it is that we are wanting to create. We're going to get to a meditation probably about 20 minutes from now, hopefully. And because this is also a really good time to have some nervous system awareness. There's a lot going on in the collective, and it's first and foremost important that we take care of ourselves. That might seem selfish, but it also is what serves the collective. So this is a really good time for us to care for ourselves and tend to ourselves and be aware of what's impacting us and maybe carve out a little more time for just quiet and silence and listening. The other theme here, though, that I wanted to mention, and I put here belonging without losing individuality, because this is a new phase. If everything we're going through in the collective, I mentioned in one of the podcasts that we're really, all the outer planets changing signs, Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune, all three of those ping on the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, and World War II, with the US chart specifically, but also this is a global affair. That very much doesn't mean that we should expect the same things, because with all the time that has passed since each of those events, humanity has been on an ascension, expansion. If you think about the fact that we can all be gathered together today to co-create, to be present together, that means that these themes we can get even maybe a little bit excited about the big picture vision. So this idea of belonging, maybe in the past, was a little bit more about the group think. Long-winded way of getting to the last point on this slide. But now we don't need to lose our individuality to be part of the collective. That was what I really want us to say, is maybe an upgrade that we can think about, that we can enter into this community globally and realize that our light, our signature, precisely who we are, is precisely what is needed. So this isn't about shifting or morphing or just doing something to fit in. This is about really owning our light and owning our energetic offering. So I mentioned that this is the first of two eclipses. We're going to meet again in 2 weeks. Just like this time, we're going to be a couple days ahead of the eclipse, which is, I find, nice, because this is a sort of a preamble. And maybe it's nice to go back and listen to this again, or we're going to have the opportunity. I made a workbook for us for this whole season. So maybe this is just a time where we can sit with this information when we are able to do so. So this first eclipse, I'm repeating myself, North Node, Solar, Aquarius. Those are all the themes. The second one is South Node, Lunar, in Scorpio. That's a very different energy, and we'll get to that in 2 weeks. There's enough for us here. But this is, some of the questions that we might begin to check in with ourselves. And I'm going to invite us to just take a couple breaths, and we'll get to a meditation in a moment or two. But one of the themes is what is changing beneath the surface. because the physical world is a product of all the things that we've done up until now, and we've already been seeding and seeding and seeding and seeding. So the physical manifestation is the last thing. The energy is already afoot, and very likely we can feel it, but in our small human condition, we're taught that if we don't see it and we can't put our eyes on it and our fingers on it and hold it and talk about it, it's not there. A lot of other visionaries or avatars would tell us differently, right? They would talk about the energy. So this is a really great time for us to feel into what we feel to be shifting. And because we are the microcosm to the macrocosm, there's two ways for us to get this information. One of them is for us to sit and consider during this gathering, what is shifting within me? If it's a behavior, if it's a rhythm, if it's just a value set or a way of communicating or something that's ready to be released or something that's really feeling motivating or interesting, what's shifting? And just breathe into that for a second. And I want to invite that we'll have a chance to share later on, but I just want us to kind of let this energy start to flow within us. And the second question is, what future is calling us forward? What is the thing that, if we're in this time of transformation, what's resonating for us? What theme is really, and it's not what we think we should do, what we've been committed to for XYZ. It's really what's in our heart right now. They might be the self and the same, but they might be something very different. So those are the two questions I want us to start to play with. I invite you to start to play with, and we'll have some time, like I said, in a little bit to really consider these. But the next thing I want to start to offer, and we do this in every other week inside the Lunar Herbal Alchemy Circle. I'm going to start to teach the astrology course again, but really starting to show folks and help us all understand how each of these events, we just talked about a theme. We talked about the energy of Aquarius, right? That collective energy. That's a theme. We talked about the new moon being an eclipse, which is an accelerated, amplified new moon. We talked about it being conjunct the North Node, which is where why our soul's here and where the collective is headed. That's all a general swath. So one of the ways, and there's a couple ways that we can look into how this is impacting our life specifically, is to look at one's birth chart. Because a birth chart is a thumbprint, I like to think about it as. It marks the note where a being took its first breath in this world. And that being, as it breathed in the energy, it said, oh, this is where I'm at. This is reality. This is here now. And if likely, if you're into astrology, you can tell that can shift where the planets are. It's all unique. So we're going to look today at where this might be impacting our individual birth chart. And I'm going to put a link in the chat for you if you want to do this with me. That is totally up for being able to. Oh, Sarah says I sound fine. Thank you, Sarah. I just opened my chat. So if you want to do this with me, I have a link, and I'm just going to give you the shortcut instead of sending you back to the main page since you're all here. But this is a way, if you don't have your birth chart, you want to do this with me, I'm going to use my chart as an example, and then I'm going to pause to open it up for questions. But this is a very simple birth chart generator made specifically for these kind of public facing gatherings and to help the houses be very easy to locate. So if you want to use this app, there's another app that I use within the circle that gives more herbal information and more nuance. This is a very simple birth chart, and I'm gonna share my screen now. I'm gonna show you. If you click on that link and you enter your info in, you will likely see something like this. And I'm going to invite you guys, because I asked you to turn your cameras off, just to make sure that this gathering would have enough bandwidth. If you have any questions and I'm not quite tracking the chat, just unmute yourself and say hey. I mean, you don't have to. I'll give us a second, but you're not going to ruffle my feathers if you just ask a question. So if you put your here's what the chart looks like when you're here. You enter your name, your birth date, your time, and your birth location. If you don't happen to know your birth time, you can feel free to email me personally and I can help you with that. But once you input all that information, you'll find something like this pops up. This is a little hard to read, but we just scroll down here to this first section and it says houses and zodiac signs. What we're looking for here is which house says Aquarius. For my particular birth chart, you can see it says the fourth house is in the sign of Aquarius. You can also see it here, the number 4. Trying to highlight it. Gosh, that's kind of close to, it's around 5 o'clock on the clock face. You can see 4 Aquarius, but I wanted to make it really easy. So you look here and you say, and it could be, we're all different. So it's going to be, Aquarius is going to sit in one of 12 houses. And so then I wanted to help us take this, unpack this. So when we look within the Lunar Herbal Alchemy circle, there's a post that I put up here, Aquarius solar eclipse through the houses. And this is where we get to start to personalize or look into how this eclipse might be impacting us. So for me personally, I shared, you saw that this eclipse is in my 4th house. So here in this post, I put everything I've just told you about the new beginning, the community, the liberation, the nervous system focus. We all just talked about that. So I'm going to scroll down here where you can go through the houses. And every house is like a slice of pie on the chart. And each slice of pie has a life theme. And those houses never move on the chart. This always looks, the first house is always right over here, close to 9 o'clock on the chart. The second house is always counterclockwise beneath it. It's kind of hard for me to. So the 12 houses always go all around and they never really, that's just the way the houses are. And then the sign shifts. So if you have Aquarius in your first house, this eclipse is likely going to hit, or not hit, highlight themes of identity and selfhood, because that is the theme of the first house. So here, I put a new chapter, could be beginning. An eclipse may shift how you see yourself. I also put a question, who am I becoming beyond my old definitions? So this is further distilling the broad theme of the sun and moon in Aquarius, that being a solar eclipse and that being a north node eclipse. That's a high level kind of general. We're getting it down a level and we're applying it to one of these houses, one of these life themes, one of these life theme pie slices on that chart. If you happen to have Aquarius in your second house, this means this eclipse very likely might activate, highlight, plant some new seeds in the theme of values, worth, and resources, because that is what the second house is always about. But when we merge that with the themes of this eclipse, this is about, maybe this is about your relationship with stability. The second house is about money. It's about self-worth. But it's also about what really, money is one form of abundance. Maybe something else really sustains you and you get to realize that and plant some seeds. So the question here would be, what do I want to build that is truly aligned? I'm going to speed up a little bit, but I just want to kind of get this point home that every house has a theme. These themes don't change. The third house is always the house of communication. But here I put voice in mind because we're trying to get out of the box of communication just means what we speak, right? So this is a chance to renew and plant seeds about the way you think, speak, learn, and connect. And maybe the question is, what conversation or insight is ready to begin? The fourth house, this is personal to yours truly. This is the house of home and roots and emotional foundation. It's also an ancestral house. So this eclipse touches what might touch for me on themes about family patterns, belonging, ancestry, emotional safety. A new foundation might be forming. What does true belonging feel like inside me? So these are all questions. And I want to stop here because I don't want to go blathering on for all the houses. I want to see if anybody has anything that oh, I forgot. I didn't start my share again, did I? Oh, you guys, I've been talking and nobody told me that I didn't share a dang thing. You don't have to tell me, it's not your. So here's what I thought. This post, Aquarius of the 12th house, this is a general overview, and then we get to go through all the houses and you get to look at which theme is resonant for you. So does anybody want to unmute themselves with a question or with any clarification, or even if you want to share what house Aquarius is in your birth chart and whether or not this makes sense to you? Oh, yes, you were sharing. We saw it. Oh, good. Thank you, Dodie. Okay.
I feel like that's the one thing that's pink though.
Sarah, yeah.
Hi. um, I'm seeing everything, and the sound sounds fine. Everything sounds fine, and I've got Aquarius rising, 7 degrees, and so I've got my Mars 13 degrees in the first house, and that's where I'm at. So I'm real happy to be here today and to listen. So
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
yeah, I'll be taking it all in, and journaling and sketching, and everybody's talking about next week. So it's sort of like, I like what you said about our nervous system, a lot, because there's just so much going on. It's kind of a tough time right now. So
Yeah,
that's all.
thank you, Sarah. It's interesting because my partner likes to remind me about this when I tell him, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. Nah, I can't handle it. And he reminds me, he's like, are you nervous or are you excited? Does that make sense? And it's both, right? It's this like, but the nerves, to your point, this is why it's a really good time to tend to ourselves. And I think what you're referring to about next week is the Neptune Saturn conjunction. Is that
Well,
what
and the fire horse, the
Yeah, and
changing,
the new
everybody's,
year. Okay, yeah.
ending the wood. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been some interesting, February there's so much going on. I feel like you guys have probably heard from me more than usual right now. And literally it's because I'm like, I gotta do a video on this and I gotta do a video on this. And oh my gosh. And like you could feel the tide rising a little bit, right? And so I love that you're in the first house. So it makes sense that it's a new, chapter of who you are and why you're here. So
I
yeah.
don't know if anybody does a tarot also, or if you go that way, but this is my hanged one year. And I'm really trying to simplify. It's really funny because with that Mars, and I also have Jupiter there in Pisces. So I have an overabundance of exuberance and enthusiasm. So I'm really trying to like slow it down a little, but I'm looking forward to what more you're going to share.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think that the world needs exuberance and enthusiasm, and I think that the Saturn is really helping us kind of like be like, okay, what's what's doable right now, like what's the thing that's like, I can tend to be like, change the world, make it, and Saturn's like, no, wait, like what can you do today in your living room that's actually palpable? And there's an interesting kind of satisfaction in that. God bless Saturn, right? So thank you, Sarah, for sharing. Anybody else have anything they want to share at this juncture? Okay. Well, then let's just keep on going, guys. Okay. So I'm going to get back to my slides right now. And so that, the personal chart integration is something that, and Carlton brought this up earlier. There's two charts you could look at. The birth chart is the one I like to first look at. The other chart that's interesting is if you change the location to where you are now, because there's an energy there, but I don't want to complicate that here. But the idea here is that there's that big overarching thing that's happening. There's how it's impacting us uniquely in what life theme. And that can be, for me personally, I find it gets me out of my head and it gets me into my body and it gets me out of whatever's running in my mind about whether or not I'm okay or how to handle it. And I look at my chart and I say, uh-huh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So for this lunar cycle, if you are a part of the herbal subscription, we grow herbs up here. They're grown regeneratively. Echinacea is the herb for this cycle, and I wanted to share this generally here because I find that there just are no mistakes in how this stuff shows up for us. And if I put this picture here of echinacea because it's an interesting looking plant. It looks very spiky, right? And if you've ever grown echinacea, there's this whole mound of spikes that come out, and the bees love it. They're full of pollen. That's why I put this picture with the bee. But it's also got the flowers open, and then they actually kind of droop down as they're maturing. And a spiky looking plant is energetically kind of a protection plant. We worked with hawthorn last cycle. But the way this spikes, I want us to consider the metaphor of like a thorn that says "ow" when you touch it. That's what a milk thistle. A thistle will definitely let you know when you touch it. A rose plant will let you know when you touch it. A hawthorn, a thing with a thorn, is a high level of protection. Echinacea's got an interesting energy. If you've ever touched that thorny looking thing, it doesn't hurt as much as you think it would. You don't really want to fall on a bed of them, but even if you did, you're not going to get cactus spikes in you. So it's a protection, but I'm going on about it a little bit more because I want us to think about the theme of a softer form of protection. But we're not needing to sting every single thing that comes in. It's just kind of alerting. And, echinacea is commonly known in the Western world for immune resilience, but it's also a plant of boundaries, which is why I wanted to point out the spikiness of it. It's a plant that gives support vitality, but it also supports community spaces. And I'm going to stop my share here and just really, I want to really quickly get to the manuscript here that we have for echinacea. Let me take a sip while apologies, guys. So if we look at echinacea, here's another picture, right? This is how it looks a little bit when it's further along in its cycle. I'm just going to talk through this and it's going to be okay. Don't worry about me. I'm a-okay. I sound a little bit worse than I feel. So we're going to be using the flower and aerial parts if you got it in the mail, but if you happen to find echinacea during this lunar cycle, the plant's energy is ubiquitous. So I put here that, there's things that echinacea does. You know what? Let me just pause myself and take a drink. Hold on a second. So it's interesting For those of you that know me, you will know I'm obviously having a throat chakra activation right now because I'm having trouble speaking. And it's about my fourth house, but I'm going to just leave that. We're not going to deep dive into me, but that feels so like appropriate. So echinacea, it's an immune activator. It's also a nice tonic for general immune support. When you use it for cold and flu, the quicker you get echinacea in your system, the better. But it also offers lymphatic support if there's any stagnation in the lymphatic system. And it's got some nice nutrients if there's some depletion. So we're talking about nervous system stuff this month. And we're talking about the theme of pausing and doing less and choosing to take care. And that might be a little different of a behavior pattern than what we're accustomed to do, and how we even, for me personally, how I find value in the world, how I think I'm worthy. So, but also it's, protection in times of exposure or stress. And I think that that is just so apropos for this time. If you go through this monologue, this manuscript, you can look at the harvesting guidelines and look at how to store it. I'm going to start to go into different ways to store and use this herb. I'm going to go light on this because this is a general gathering, but I'm going to suggest that if you could have some echinacea tea during this lunar cycle, that energetically might be something that is well, you know what I find interesting, and people tell me this all the time, I kind of just say try it and just, you'll know, see how you feel when during this time you work with this herb. And sometimes it's a nebulous, can't quite tell. Sometimes people will tell me, oh my gosh, I can feel this. So for this cycle and this eclipse, we're going to be kind of working with echinacea. But the thing here is, look at how these flowers look. This isn't a scary plant, right? Look at how joyful these flowers look. Protection without rigidity. One of the things we're being asked to walk right now, and it's a very old and it's a very new, but it's part of circular down power. It's not black versus white. It's not you're bad, get out of town. It's this integration. It's the tapestry. We're really being invited to embody the tapestry. So how can we maintain who we are, our individuality, our identity, while we merge with the collective, but not necessarily needing to be in fear, but knowing that we're protected. That's the kind of protection energy echinacea offers. And that's, I think, what's, even if you don't work with echinacea, I think that it's a very potent theme. Openness with discernment is another thing that kind of came to mind here. We're not just willy-nilly open. We're looking, we're feeling, we're knowing, we're using the intelligence of the information that we receive. And also here, the other deeply medicinal part of this plant is its roots. And the roots are they're like little baby carrot roots, deeply rooted plant. And this metaphor for us to really take that time, and we'll do this here in a moment in the meditation, to send those roots down. Because if we think about the tree that's blowing in the wind during times of change, that as above, so below. So really taking time to have the integrity of those roots. And that's just our self-care, right? The times that we choose to connect to the earth, to come together in community, to nourish ourselves. Every single thing we can manage to do has the potential to be amplified in the future. And it's not in fear, but it's just, I feel like there's this kind of ripple that's happening right now. So there is a ritual if you would like to work with this ritual. I will share it here. Let me go to the ritual. This is under rituals and astrology materials. There's a ritual for this eclipse season. I'm not going to walk through it that much because there's also a book that you can download and work with during this season. I want to get time for us to get to that. But all the rituals that I offer here in this circle are just very simple. It's often just a pen and a paper and a candle and the herb. Some of you guys did get some aragonite crystal, so I put that in here because aragonite is very powerful protective stone. So you can find this ritual in the portal, but I'm gonna get I'm gonna go over that lightly so that we can keep it relevant for everybody who is here, because some of you guys are deeply into the circle, some of us aren't. But what I wanted to do, and what I think the deeper medicine is here, um, is the meditation. And so I want to invite us to enter into that next, even if you were just softly listening to everything, the themes, and really noticing what was pinging for you. I want to invite you to thank you. Most of you guys have already turned off the camera, so that's all that's really needed here. But we're going to start to begin just by taking a nice deep breath. Notice that your body is comfortable. If you want to take a moment to lie down or to face the sun, just get yourself so that you can spend these next few minutes of time comfortable and also supported. Take a moment to feel yourself connected to the chair, the floor, the earth beneath you. And you can close your eyes here gently, or at least just kind of soften the gaze. And we're going to be breathing in through the nose. Take another nice, easy, deeper breath in. And releasing the breath, long, steady exhale through the mouth. The breath is so powerful. Breathe in and just feel the power and the peace and the presence of coming into this moment. Inhale. Taking your time, and exhale through the mouth. The breath is a lovely metaphor for releasing on the out breath. And again, just a slightly deeper breath in through the nose. Take your time and release the breath through the mouth. And let the breath begin to gather you. I often imagine that if we have this energetic field around us that is us, that we can kind of put up a sheath that just cuts all ties for this moment. Everything that we've been tending to in the past, even our most favorite people, don't worry, we're not going to not be able to reconnect. But just for this moment, imagine there's a golden sheath around you. And so everything that you've been experienced in the past, everything you're expecting tomorrow is all just kind of whoop, dropped. And so you can just be clear and present, just breathing in your energetic field. And see if you can notice that shift. And we are entering a new moon this Wednesday, always a beginning. But this is also a solar eclipse. This becomes this threshold moment. And I invite us to consider just this stillness that we've got here, that you experience right now. Imagine bringing this stillness to the moment of the new moon and the moment of the eclipse. And really see if you can feel that, eclipses aren't to rush us or to force us or to do anything super crazy. They're just to reorient us, to orient us. But because there are these kind of cosmic energetic reboots, they sometimes offer up openings that we don't always predict. And even things, if there's something that might be releasing, maybe we don't even fully understand it in the moment. But part of the wisdom that we're living through and in and within in this time is that we're we're powerful in the moment of the transformation, that we don't need to rush. And so just see if for right now you can simply allow yourself to be here now. Not needing clarity, even though clarity is amazing. Not needing it. Just bring the presence of your breath. Stay connected to your field. And not even needing answers or things to be finalized. There's just this presence within you and around you, this energy of you. But Aquarius is also the sign of the collective. So there's this unique individuality of each of us. But then there's also this energy of community, of the future activating us. And so just lightly, let your awareness understand that you are not alone in this circle, but you are gathered with others here, and that you have many circles and communities that you already exist within. And there's nothing to do about it. It's just to kind of have that awareness. And I mentioned that Aquarius is also connected to the nervous system. And you can imagine that it's just those subtle energetic currents of energy moving, pulsing, radiating through the body. So today, right now with this meditation, as we're preparing to welcome this eclipse and this new moon, let's begin by tending the body first. Bring awareness to your forehead, to your face, to your eyes, to your jaw, and just if there's any tension in the face or the head or the neck, just imagine you, with the power of your consciousness, just let those muscles and those areas soften. Bring your awareness to your shoulders next and allow them to relax and soften as well. Let your awareness flow down through your arms and into your hands. And if there's any tension in any areas about your body there, maybe specifically your hands, just allow the physical body to let go. Bring your awareness to your chest now, to your heart. If there's any tension or holding or heaviness, allow the tension to release, and we'll get to another activation here, but allow the heaviness just to begin to drop. Moving into the rib cage, any tension there, let it go. Down into the belly. Relax, soften the belly. Down into your pelvis, down into your low back, and just imagine the energy, the light of your consciousness, the energy of your breath, just being this balm, helping that area to relax. And then moving down through your legs, your thighs, your calves, your feet, any tension in those parts of the physical body, just allow the muscles and the body to release. And as you're relaxed, feel simultaneously that you are held. The floor and the chair are supporting you. And just as echinacea is a plant that is deeply rooted, imagine that from wherever you're at, the base of your spine, your feet, or the back of your body, you're sending roots down through, if you're in a room or a building, down through the floor. Just allow your energetic roots to reach directly into the soil that is located beneath your physical body at this moment in time. And send your roots down there. And notice how Mother Earth already knows precisely where you're at. But these roots are just a conscious effort to more deeply connect to her as she is going through her transformation and she is nourishing us. So send those roots down, deep, and out wide. And just notice how that feels for you as you allow yourself, as you create the space for yourself to be held and deeply rooted. And feel the support and the nourishment that Mother Earth is already sending up through your roots. And one of the themes we talked about with the herb for this cycle is, echinacea teaches resilience and helps us find boundaries that are loving. So imagine around your field now with that golden sheath of light, that golden color, as is the case, is a powerful color. And it does a couple things simultaneously. It calls toward it, magnetizes things that are of the energetic essence of the color gold. But it also repels and holds out anything that is not that. So feel this experience as you have this gold sheath around your energetic field, that you can have protection without being closed off. And feel yourself clear, alive, and with this boundary that allows truth in, but also senses anything that would be depleting to you and keeps that out if you like. And so as we're sitting in the stillness of our own field, I mentioned that this is a north node eclipse. So this is a future facing point. I think about a compass. This is a direction of growth. And so rather than asking, what do I need to control? Let's entertain what is calling me forward. And so with an awareness that there might be something that a story that our linear mind is attached to and accustomed to as to who we are and why we're here and what we do. But I invite you to bring this sort of childlike simplicity to this question. Just as a child instinctively runs across the room to the thing that it just knows, it's following its joy. See if you can use your own heart and your body and your knowing as a compass. So as you entertain what is calling you forward, I invite you to also just entertain what would bring you joy, what would lift you up, what would open your heart, warm your heart. And it doesn't have to be profound. This is about a quiet emergence. This might be about realizing you want a cup of hot chocolate in a little bit. Even though eclipses are profound, silent, subtle things can be the path to the portal. So there's no need for words here. Just notice what you feel and notice what's moving into or out of your awareness right now. And so this is a North Node eclipse that's part of our theme, but also eclipses often regardless of whether they're solar or lunar, north or south, there's still this theme of letting go of old timelines. And I say that because to me, as I've mentioned, eclipses lift us up and out of linear space and time. So if there's something, a story that's related to linear time, maybe there's something that's ready to be released, a pattern, a role, an attachment, a version of yourself that has served you well in the past, but has completed its work. This is a soft acknowledgement. This isn't a hard force or a slamming of a door. This is just an awareness. And if there is something very concrete that you're ready to release, imagine that you're setting it down with respect, like you're placing a heavy rock out of your backpack onto the earth. And if there isn't anything complete, maybe there's just an openness to what makes itself known in the next span of time. Let's take a breath into the nose. And as you release the breath, imagine whether it's concrete or just metaphorical and energetic, just let that breath be a letting go. And see if you are comfortable inviting this eclipse to do what eclipses do: clear space. If there's a way we've been running energy that's bottlenecked, this eclipse is going to help us to be able to more efficiently flow energy in a higher order fashion. So now in the space that is opened, imagine there's this seed of intention. And also entertain that Aquarius intentions are not only personal, they are relational or collective. They invite us to ask, how do I belong? Also, how do I contribute? Maybe even how do I live in alignment with truth? And I want to invite us to let this intention and this seed be simple, that childlike notion of following the joy. And maybe the intention is to choose resilience, to choose clarity, to choose a future that is rooted in integrity. And maybe even just to trust what is unfolding. Let whatever phrase for you, or whatever theme, or whatever feeling or vision arise, and just hold it gently in your heart, or you can hold it in your hands as if you're holding a seed. And now, as you're in your field, your clear and vibrant energy field, widen your awareness to this circle, to this already true sense that you are not alone, that there are others here actively listening, releasing, becoming. And imagine as if we're sitting in circle, all of us who are here together, and those of us who join later on as they listen later on. But we're sitting in circle, and there's a thread of light connecting every heart. Not entangling, just connecting. And simply reminding us that we do not walk this eclipse season or any season alone. We walk together. Now take a final deep breath in through your nose. Nice deep inhale. And exhale slowly through the mouth. Feel your physical body again. Maybe feel where your body's meeting the chair or the ground where you're laying. Feel the light of your heart. And if you'd like, I invite you, you could continue to keep this gold sheath up around your aura. And so I invite us as we're coming to a close to just entertain that this eclipse is not necessarily demanding urgency. It's inviting our presence, our honesty, and our trust, and our own heart's knowing. So when you're ready, and come back to the gathering, you can open your eyes, roll your fingers or your toes. And may this eclipse guide each of us toward a future that is truly in alignment with our soul's purpose. Take your time coming back. It's a little bit over the hour, but the last two things we're going to do, I'm going to invite you to download. I'll put a link and show you how to find this ebook. I also want to invite folks to share if they want, but mindful of the fact that if we've just done an energy clearing, it's totally okay to not want to share or just bask in the energy and keep your camera off. That is 100% okay. So the final thing I want to offer you is how to get this ebook. And I'm going to just take the urgency off of it here because I will send a follow-up email after the gathering to recap. So if you don't get this now, I don't know if it'll be today, but it'll definitely be by tomorrow. You'll get the little tidbits that you need in an email from me. But if you're here now and you want to start to work with these energies, I'm going to share the web link that you're going to be able to find all the materials for this eclipse season. And let me just get to that right now. Excuse me, guys. I'm happily floaty. Okay, so that is not the right page. That is not the right page. This is the page. So this is a page that I will put in the chat that you can see here. And if you click download today, you'll be able to download this 33-page book. And it's just it takes us through both eclipses and invites us to have some things to consider. I want to share two things. One, there's the ebook, but two, there's the landing page for, I don't have it keyed up here, I'm sorry. There's the general landing page that I can't seem to find here. Let me see if I can get it. Thing. Just when you think you're totally prepared. There we are. So I'm going to send you this link. So you're going to be able to download this ebook by clicking here, download the workbook. Here's also where you can access this birth chart that we went through. I'm going to put a couple more links that are just going to be about that post that lives within the membership circle. But because a lot of folks who here aren't in the membership circle, and I want you to have this information, I'm going to give you a way to access that Aquarius through the 12 houses. So you can look at the birth chart here, and then immediately below, you'll find a new blog link once I make that live. So on this webpage will be this is the landing page for the next couple weeks. But then I'm going to keep adding, the workbook and the birth chart, as well as how to interpret where Aquarius is in your house, as well as if you would like to do a ritual. So that's all going to come through in the next 24 hours. And I'm going to stop my share, and I'm going to stop with the technical stuff. Rasa says, thank you for the reminder to use echinacea. You are welcome, Rasa. And I just really wanted to close honestly and warmly by thanking all of you for joining me today. This is a truly wonderful group of people, and I hope that you can feel the energy as much as I do. And like I said, if you want to unmute and say something, now would be the time. Type something into the chat, but there's no pressure here. This isn't a show that we all need to do if we don't feel like doing. I want to keep this true. So, but before we sign off, I just wanted to have a minute or two in case anybody wants to share anything. Dodie says, thank you. Nice gathering. You're welcome. I'm happy to do it. All right. Well, I'm going to wait. It's 107 right now. I'm going to wait till 108. I don't know if you guys noticed that I send all my stuff out at 108. The story behind that is when I had a yoga studio, we did 108 is a number of beads on a mala. So if you're meditating, you would go through every bead like you would go through a rosary, but we would do 108 repetitions of things. And there was something very sacred and energetic. And if you notice the Tibetan monks, I didn't realize this, but they did, the ones who walked from Texas to DC, that they did it for 108 days. So 108 is always just for me like a really magical number. Sarah says, love today. Thank you, Lisa Marie. You are welcome. You guys are the best. Melina says, thank you, Lisa. Mary says, thank you so much. Rossa says, thank you. You guys, you're welcome. Yay. Okay, so I'm going to put together an email here in the next 24 hours so that everybody, this is why it's good that we're doing it early, right? So even if I don't do it today, but maybe I'll do it today, I'll do it definitely by tomorrow. All right, guys, have a blessed eclipse season. And, we're going to do it again in 2 weeks for the solar eclipse, and we'll be able to revisit some of these themes. This is just the door swinging open. And hopefully I'll see you all again in 2 weeks. Have a blessed new moon, and I'm grateful for all of you. Take good care. Bye, guys.